The wizard is cornered, but he's not done fighting yet. He flings a lance of blue energy from his wand at you.
No way! I'm going to use my shield to deflect it.
Alright, that sounds like a defy danger roll to me. Roll plus con to endure the attack.
Well, that's a 4.
Oof. Well, the good news is that you get an XP. The bad news is that you're frozen in place, and now he's walking closer to you.
Can I tell what's about to happen?
Of course. Roll a discern realities check.
Okay, I rolled an 8. So, what's about to happen?
Well, it looks like the wizard has put his wand away. He's leaned over and he's whispering in the cleric's ear. You realize now he's about to tell him about that D&D podcast.
It's not picking up yours because I have these nice little headphones.
Right. So what we're going to do now, so go to time.is, and then once it's at 30 seconds, we're going to clap, and that'll be our synchronization point, so I can sync the audio together.
Okay, at 30?
Yep. All right. Got it.
Sweet.
This is the super technical way we do it every episode now. All right.
I can see that. Except the last episode, which...
That was a whole thing. Audacity is not always my friend.
That's fair. Hopefully my audio won't be too shitty. It seems to be recording pretty good levels.
Yeah, usually if there's background noise and stuff, I can get rid of that pretty easily. So
yeah, no,
right.
I'm just keeping an eye on my levels right now because
yeah.
Good news is I do animation, so I know a little bit about audio levels and how much of a pain they are.
Yeah, I did video production stuff for like a year in high school, and it was fun, but it's also a huge time investment.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I guess let me do the intro thing. Hello, everybody. Thank you for downloading this latest episode, this special episode of That D&D Podcast. This is just going to be two people sitting around a virtual table. Tonight we're going to be playing a game called A Scoundrel in the Deep. It's a collaborative storytelling game for 2 adults. You could probably play with 2 people as long as they know not to burn shit down, I guess. A game for 2 adults, a matchbox, and an ashtray, which is what makes this special and what kind of interested me in it in the first place. It's written by 2 people named Renato Ramonda and Flavio Mortarino. Those are kind of rad names that I kind of want to make NPCs of in the Dungeon World game. But yes, I am DM Chris. I'm sure you've heard my voice by now. And I'm joined today by special guest Patrick McCabe. Why don't you introduce yourself, Patrick, and let people know where they can find you online.
Hello, my name is Patrick McCabe. You can find me at TalesGone on Twitter. And all over the place. I'm still setting up my website and stuff, so I will figure that out another time.
Another worry for another day, right?
Another crying over sad bits of life for another day, yes.
Okay, so let's give you guys a quick summary of how the game works. Basically, the premise is Patrick will be playing someone called the Scoundrel. They're an adventurer who's reached the bottom of a place called the Tomb of the Deep. It's kind of up to us to figure out what exactly that is, where it is, what kind of environment it is, all that sort of thing. He's in there because he was trying to recover the Ruby of the Abyss, some sort of legendary treasure of possible mystical power. We'll find out. And I will be playing the Deep. Basically, I am the tomb, all the horrors that lurk inside of it, and the generally unwelcoming environment. So instead of rolling dice in this game, we actually have a box of matches, and I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be played in person because the rules say to hand it back and forth, but Patrick and I both have matches, so when it calls for me to light it, I'll light it. When it calls for him to light it, he'll do the same. We will make every effort to not burn our respective houses down.
No promises, though.
No promises ever. So let's start off. Do you have anything in mind for like a general description of your scoundrel?
Yes. My scoundrel's name is Oklahoma Steven.
Mm-hmm.
And Oklahoma Steve for short.
Okay.
And he's a dashing adventurer with a nice hat and a nice jacket, and totally not based on anything at all.
I don't know what you could be talking about. And you know what? This gem does not belong in a museum, so anybody who says that is a liar.
Exactly. And a thief, and it's definitely not a holy relic that I am just completely destroying.
When you picked adventures, you chose poorly.
Exactly. So yes, now I am Oklahoma Steve, and he is a dashing rogue type. And as for the two items, I decided to choose a whip
Okay.
and pocket sand.
Pocket sand. Interesting.
Well, like a bag of sand.
Yeah. Just in case.
Exactly.
Trying to count out matches. I just realized I didn't do that. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
I have two small books myself.
18, 19, and 20. Alright, so the game says to play with about 20 matches, so I've counted those out. There's different actions we go through, which we'll just explain before we do them, since it's kind of easier to explain these sort of things in action, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright, so looks like when we begin, you've got a little thing you read out loud.
Hours have passed since I have acquired the Abyss Ruby at the bottom of the Tomb of the Deep. Luckily, I still have my trusty whip and a bag of sand.
Alright, and part of the thing we do for this is we've got handy-dandy index cards to write down the items on, because when you lose them, we get to catch them on fire and burn them in a bowl.
Woohoo!
Bag of sand.
I will let you burn them in the bowl since you are in a house that is yours.
Okay, fair enough.
I will just type it out so I keep it in mind. Whip, pocket, and bag of sand. Bag of sad. That's a very unfortunate. It's a
Just-
very.
You gotta throw frowny emojis at stuff.
Here are the fields.
God damn it. Alright, so when both of us are ready, I will describe the first location. So, what I was thinking of when I pictured the deep, it's actually not just one specific thing. It's kind of. It's almost like an archaeological timeline. It's the ruins of a city with the ruins of a city on top of that, and then the ruins of a city on top of that. So this place is maybe thousands of years old at this point, and rather than actually destroying any of the buildings, they just built over them. So this is like 7 or 8 civilizations worth of
Buildings.
stuff. Yeah, it's all different architectural styles, all kinds of different decorations that most of which have, been lost to time at this point.
Yeah.
But you got to the very bottom, and it's actually like an old ruined temple.
Okay.
The problem is, to get to where you are now, where you got the ruby off of this altar, you had to drop down. There's no immediate way in the room that you're in to get back up the way you came, so you're going to have to venture through some uncharted territory for you.
Okay.
So you kind of came in behind the altar through what was probably once a window, but from where you're standing looking out at the altar, there is a doorway off in the distance.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm supposed to omit the peril for now, which I did, and then it's got a part where you read.
My lamp dwindles. Tired and hungry, I must scramble in the pitch dark. Only a few matches in my pocket separate me from the endless, inky blackness. My fate is in my own hands.
But peril lurks in the dark. Alright, so now I get to describe what you perceive.
So I have the matchbox first.
Yes, you're going to be the first one to light it.
And are we going to do the thing where we set up like a thing on, well, we use time.is and just say...
Yeah, we'll just use .is and make it 40 seconds.
40 seconds? That seems fair.
Okay, so I basically, at this point, I will describe what you are perceiving in the darkness.
You describe it, I declare, I just
Yes.
need to make outside, strike a match, and then that's when the first peril begins.
Right. Okay, so as you go through this doorway, you can't make out much, of course, since it's dark, but you hear something skittering ahead of you in the distance. It's hard to tell because it sort of echoes around, but it's probably at least 20 or 30 feet away.
I just need to make it outside.
Under the faint light of the match, you actually see several figures darting around off the walls and bouncing around, and you hear several skittering legs getting closer to you in the darkness, and as they approach, you see glistening carapaces of bugs the size of your foot.
Okay, so I grab a bundle of the rocks near me
Hmm.
and I throw them in a different direction to try to distract them and sprint past.
Okay, fair enough. So we did that with enough time left on the match. So basically, you would blow it out at that point. Let the flame. You get to keep that match, so keep that on your side as one of yours.
Okay,
And the resolution basically depends on if you can get to 10 before I get 5.
yeah. No pressure, though.
Yeah. Okay. Whoever gets the match gets the match book.
Okay.
So basically, what happens now is you make it to the next area, and what'll happen is you describe the area, like some general features, and then it'll be my turn to give you a few more details, and then you'll light the match, and I'll tell you what the peril is in here.
Okay, so assuming we just left off the kind of Stone Age area, just like in
Mhm.
civilization, I'm kind of imagining this is like right before the classical age. This is just when like they're starting to build up even like slightly better stuff. This is just so we're seeing like the in between of classical like pillars and
Mhm.
Stone Age kind of towers and stuff like that. And as I'm walking through it, you see these carvings on the side of just various faces and different. I kind of imagine this kind of as a king's kind of go down where each one of the faces carved is supposed to be this amazing god or something like that, and it's just all the things I'm passing by as I'm walking through. Tilt my hat and continue going.
Yeah. So with that brief little bit of match light that you have left, you can make out some supports for some of the columns that are keeping this room, I guess, held up from just the weight of history itself piled up on top of it.
Okay.
Some of them appear to be a little bit sturdier than others, but that light goes out right as you are able to make out those final few details.
Curses. Okay, I just need to make it outside.
All right, so you're walking through, and very, very barely you're able to make out these shimmering. It almost looks like a spider web, almost a line crossing between some of these columns, and some of them are leading up to the walls. They seem to be connected to all the columns that have supports attached to them.
Okay. And what's the peril?
Those strands. There's probably you don't want to set them off.
Okay, so I kind of get low to the ground and try to crawl underneath them, like back-wise, and just kind of slowly move through the cobwebs as my little light goes out.
Okay, I think that would be a good maneuver around. As your light is at its very end, it's flickering out. You get through. Excuse me. You get past the last few columns, and you don't see any more of those shimmering lines anymore.
To make sure I keep an eye on the time so I can count.
I forgot to do that for this one.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I have the matchbook one more time, and then I think it passes to
Yeah.
you automatically.
You do. What we can do before we light other matches is you always have the chance to do a background scene on what brought you here, or could ask some things to maybe flesh out your character a little bit.
So the gym that I have, so my character thinks back after going through the cobwebs, and he kind of chuckles a little bit about the person he loves, fear of spiders and stuff like that. He's thinking back to her and thinking about like how she would react to this whole thing, and he just kind of clutches the gem in his hand, and he kind of thinks really to himself like, you're doing this for her, you're doing this for her. He's trying to earn enough money so that he can get a good life for the two of them together and stuff like that. And that's why he's clutching this gem so hard. Marks his chance to really make a difference in his life.
And being an adventurer of legend would probably go a long way to getting you some coin for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's also the movie deal and stuff like that
going
on, yeah, or the play deal. I'm not sure
the
what exactly
the residuals
this is.
on that thing are just insane.
Oh my god, can you just imagine the merchandising nights? It's just gonna be great. He chuckles thinking about his own action figure.
Nice.
And he starts to whistle the Indiana Jones theme. Or, no, sorry, just a theme. Not...
It's very similar to the Indiana Jones theme, but it's like 2 notes off so we don't get sued.
Yeah, it's actually like an octave below it. It's just...
There you go. I like it. All right, so you wander into the next area. What does that one look like?
As I go into this area, I feel like this area is that now we're in the full-on classical age. Like we were just passing by. Now it's the classical age, so there's statues looking all over the place, like full-on, like major statues. Some of them aren't anatomically.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, anatomically correct. But as you go further into the room, they begin to become like it's almost as if I'm getting animation nerds, so I'm going to go animation here. It's almost as if like each statue is a different part of a movement, and by the time you reach the end, it's gone from this very like this sitting down, not really anatomically correct position to this full-on man walking position that's fully anatomically correct and such.
So it almost looks like the people got better at carving as you go down the hallway.
Exactly, they get
Gotcha.
better at carving and stuff like that. But it also looks like it's in one motion.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing about this general area, off in the distance you see it looks like a passageway leading further up, and right not in front of you, but almost in the exact center of the area is what was probably once like a reflecting pool. The water is still now. Any plants that were actually living in it are long dead due to lack of sunlight. But there is still water in there.
I just need to make it outside.
All right, we're at 56, so we got till 46. Okay, so you light your match to get a better view of the area, and that water in that reflecting pool that was still is actually now, you sense ripples on the top of it, and a little while later, a thorny-looking black tentacle emerges, and then another, and several evil-looking figures. They're probably blind, but they emerge and they're looking for food.
I'm going to... If they're blind, I'm going to tiptoe out of the room, like back out of the room and kind of find another way. Not sure if I made that in time.
Ooh, I think that was close. Let me see. Let me see if anything. What fun things happen if you don't make it, and then we'll decide from there.
You die?
Ooh. So if you have the match and it burns out, I describe how the peril severely hurts you, sets you back, or blocks you. The peril is unconquerable or just too hazardous, and the scoundrel must retreat to find an alternate path. Okay. So from what I can tell, it looks like otherwise retreat is not an option, maybe?
Yeah.
So let's just say you go to turn back around, and there is actually one coming out of a little pool that you didn't catch that was near the entrance you came in. There is one that is approaching you. Somehow it sensed your movements or your hesitation. Maybe they can taste the air like snakes and find out where you are. But the only way you're able to get out of this room is to wrap that one up in your whip as you escape.
So I lose my whip.
Yep. So moving forward, you will be whipless. And...
It's so beautiful.
Ow, fuck!
Crap! And that's how DM Chris dies.
I love the smell of burning things.
It is so relaxing, actually.
As long as it's not my own finger?
It's a good thing. And even the own finger, it's just... Oh, I'm so relaxed, but it's killing me. It's just...
Alright, so that, you lose your whip, and I get your match. So currently you have 2 and I have 1, I believe?
Yes.
Alright, so that means the book is mine. Yeah, you're able to make it through to the exit. You did have to, use your whip on that one, so it's a minor setback. But going up to this one, the beautiful sculptures, the tone of the area has changed significantly. This looks very reminiscent of the dungeon of like a medieval castle. There are just cells upon cells with rusted iron bars as far as you can see. It's a very winding path. You have to feel yourself. Wow, don't do that in the dungeon. It's probably bad. You have to feel your way around until you get oriented in what you think is the way out.
Okay.
But yes, so you're in a very cell-lined area. Why don't you give me a little description too, and then we'll figure out what the peril is here.
It's a cell-lined area. I feel like there's some corpses around the area, like not not fresh, but like old bones all around the area and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily the best place to be right now.
All right, I can dig it. And so I get to light this one, and then I will hand it off to you.
You light it, then you describe, then you pass to me.
Right. That's the thing. Right, yeah.
And then I describe how I dash away.
Maybe Pocket Sand will help you here.
It will save me one day.
So you light your match, and you slowly begin to move your way towards the exit, and then from behind you, you hear one of the cell doors open, and then another, and then echoing from inside the cells, you hear, and then footsteps coming your way.
I say, I scream, "Riot!" out loud to try to instinct them to fight each other, and then during the chaos, I sprint out.
All right. That works. All right, so that one will go to you since you managed to get out of the area. We're at 3-1 now. And now that you have the box for completing the peril, it is your turn. I can't words. It's your turn to describe the next area you get to.
Okay, so the next area... So we just exited the prison cells, so the next area is actually like this massive... And this is where we start getting to Dark Ages kind of thing. We just entered the prison cells, and now we're in the medieval ages. And in here, we actually enter a cathedral, and it's like a church area. And the cathedral's light kind of somehow comes down from the top of the cavern and shines down, but just as like I enter the room, you can see that the light is slowly dimming, as if the sun is just moving out of that one specific area.
Yeah, so you get maybe like 30 seconds a day down here of actual for real sunlight.
Yeah, it's just for that one church service to really make everything work, and then the sun slowly, like that final, like in the light of God, and then the sun shines, and then it goes away.
I like it.
The sun dims, and like I get a brief glimpse of how the room looks, and then it's utter blackness in this room.
Nice. Okay. So let's say for this place, some of the pews and stuff are still intact. It seems like they've been shuffled around a bit, but it looks like the ones that had slowly begun to fall apart are pushed further back towards like almost the entranceway. And the pews that were still intact have been, they're very patchwork. They've been put back together several times over the centuries, but people, for some reason, have kept moving them to the front, so it actually looks like it's still partially ready for a service.
Okay.
Almost as if, for some reason, someone is still using it?
I just need to make it outside. I'm going to start at 45.
Okay. So as the sunlight disappears, you hear a rumbling sound coming from off to the side, off to your right, and also coming from the doorway at the end, which would normally be the entrance to this cathedral. There's a rumbling, there's this coppery smell in the air, almost like blood, and then balls of fire begin to travel in your direction, coming from some unknown source.
Pocket sand! And I get to use that, so...
Yep, so basically we blow out the match right now.
Yep.
And now you have unlimited time, not unlimited, but as much time as you need right now to describe how you use the pocket sand to negate the fireballs.
Okay, so I use the pocket sand, and as the pocket sand envelopes around me, the fire spreads around me, and there's this really cool image of me walking from the fire just as it evaporates around the sand and getting through.
Nice. Okay. I can dig it, because sand does put out fire if you throw enough of it on there, so I'm cool with that.
It's pocket sand.
All right, so let's see. If you use an item, you get to keep the match. Yes. So let me burn your item.
Hey, it fits because the pocket sand did get burned.
Oh, it did. Touché. Okay, I hope this burns before I do.
5, halfway there. No, 4. Never mind. No, 4. Not halfway there.
Almost.
Don't die.
Not yet. I have to kill you first. I didn't say that.
No, I understand. You do.
Alright, so that was your second one. So if you get another one, then we have a little thing and it goes back to me regardless. So, which way did you leave this room, and what did you find?
I'm gonna actually say I went through where the fireball came from, because I feel like I can look that way and find things. And as I'm going through it, I don't see what launched the fireball, but I do see like scorch marks all over the place, and it looks like there's some like charred paintings. Like this entire area is where they put all these different Renaissance-esque paintings are lining this long hallway of like it's going up a staircase. So as you're going up the staircase, the paintings are slowly going from more medieval-esque kind of painting, which is the flat painting, to these more Renaissance paintings as you go along. And whether that's an improvement or not is all up to your taste, but as you go... I felt the need to say that. My girlfriend is a medievalist, so... But, so as you're going up the staircase, like, the paintings are slowly changing, and you're getting to the top. And my character is kind of, like, thinking, and he's saying, like, he's thinking, like, it's such a shame that these get burned and stuff. These are such beautiful paintings. If only I had enough, like, strength to be able to take one off the wall and bring it back up. But unfortunately, this gem is really heavy, and I'm not letting this thing go. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so in the hallway, you can make out those paintings, and you hear a clicking sound. It's definitely a mechanical sound. It's not like, some bug or something. And it follows a pattern. You have like a click, and then 2 or 3 seconds, and then a click, and then 2 or 3 seconds. And as you get closer, you hear like another one, and then another one. So there's 3 or 4, but you can't make out what it is just yet, not from here. So I guess light your match, and we will see what happens.
I just need to go outside.
So by the light of your match, as you get closer to what you feel is the exit, you see very large, very sharp blade traps that are swinging across the only visible pathway. At first it's just one, but it seems like further down there are more.
Okay, using my knowledge of the clicks, I kind of replicate that pattern as I'm passing by, and just kind of I kind of sit there for a second, watch them move, and then move.
Okay.
And make sure I know what the pattern as I'm moving past them.
Okay.
I think I just pulled that one.
Yeah, you had like 3 seconds left, so good job. That's part of the thing is, like, I have to try to, like, describe the problem without taking too much time, because then it's not fair to you. Okay, so that is your third match in a row. You currently have 5.
Woohoo! Maybe I can do this after all. I feel like the last one, like just as I get out the last one, my hat flies back, and just before the thing chops the hat, I grab and pull it back, put it on my head.
I like it. All right, so I think page 3 at the top, there's a thing you have to read when you hand the matchbook over.
Scoundrel says, "My fate is in my own hands, but fate is fickle, and the wheel turns," and I hand it to the deep.
Yes. All right. So you make it past this area. The wood and stone that makes up the walls gives way to the sound and the smell of wet dirt. There's a smell of rot and decay here, and when you put your hands out to get a feel for the surroundings, it basically feels like you're in a freshly dug grave almost, right after the rain. You can hear the squishy sound of insects burrowing around. Your feet make indentations in the ground when you walk. Like, the soil is very soft, and how this passageway has remained standing for so long, you don't know. But off in the distance, you can actually see some holes dug into the walls that seem to have stone coffins or something in them. What else do you see, or hear, or feel?
I'm hearing the bugs and stuff, and I see the stone coffins, but in the stone coffins, like, there's actually, like, shields that cover the stone coffins, and there's these, like, nice decorations for each one of the coffins. Like, this is a tomb of where warriors were buried and stuff like that, but it's remained fresh because, I also see, like, drops, like, coming down, almost as if there's, like, a body of water over this particular section, and that's why it remains so moist.
I like it. Okay. I'm going to light it at 50, so that means we will have to stop it at 30.
Yep.
49. You make your way through the graves, careful not to disturb any of them. And as you get to the halfway point, figures emerge in front of you and also behind you. They're transparent, and they look at you and they say, "You're not to be here. Only the dead are to be here. We will make you the dead."
Mom? It's been so long! Oh, I'm sorry I didn't write and stuff, so I completely go up to them and, like, give them a big hug, completely take them off guard, and, like, as I'm talking to them and chatting, I'm slowly making my way to the door, and just as I enter the door, I also say, "I love you guys, talk to you soon, bye." Slam door.
Oh.
I think I just caught that.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Tenths of a second, maybe. Okay. Ghosts are not used to being confronted, of course.
As I close the door, I'm just like...
I'm glad nobody else is here. I peed a little.
Okay. Gotta keep the cool. Got the hat.
So, yeah, you make it through that room and to the rickety wooden ladder that leads you up to the next floor. You're getting closer to the surface now, but what do you see when you make it up to that top of that ladder?
At the top of the ladder, I see like a bunch of at the top of the ladder, I'm not gonna say I walk into a library.
Okay.
Like at the top of this ladder, there's a library, and it almost looks like, and there's kind of actually a window looking out of the library. And if I look out the library, you see that there's this fountain and stuff over where the area was. To really go back to the whole, there's a water thing above it. So I see that, but it's very dark, and like in the library, I can only like see like these bookshelves seem very compact in, almost as if like all the books in this entire library would just decide to be put into one room, and this is the room. Like, this is the back storage closet, so it's kind of like I'm kind of crawling through the small spaces of this book place.
Okay.
This wooden place with books all over the place.
So as you wander through, you feel this sense of claustrophobia as it seems like the shelves are closer together, and the tops of them seem to lean in towards each other as if they're long lost lovers trying to embrace. So why don't you strike me a match and we'll see what happens in here. Okay, so that'll give us till 30.
Just sneak outside.
You are wandering your way through these just the labyrinthine library. The shelves are getting closer together, and there are certain spots where the only way forward is to jump on a lone beam that has the only thing that remains on a wooden floor that has long given way to time, and it seems to also be wearing the pressure of these bookshelves that are leaning up against it.
I actually push the bookshelf down to build like this kind of impromptu bridge and sprint over the bookshelf just as it collapses, jumping and grabbing onto the end.
Okay. I think that one went like 2 seconds over.
Damn it, okay. I got it! I don't got it!
Alright, so you push the bookshelf over, and it does seem like it's going to make a good pathway for you. The only problem lies in the fact that when you push it over, the sudden downward force of the bookshelf landing is enough to make that beam give out, and it was supporting a large section of the floor, including the part you were standing on. So you plunge into the abyss for what seems like way, way, way longer than it should be.
That scene from Spy Kids 2.
The thing is, though, you land on your feet after, like I said, it feels just way too long. But your feet are fine. You're just completely lost with absolutely no idea where you're going. So I will give you a choice. In this pit, there are a few different exits. There is a set of scaffolding that you can kind of feel. It feels like the stuff they make in certain countries just out of like they weave bamboo together and use that for climbing and all that sorts of stuff. There is a rope off in another area, and from what you can tell from almost tripping and busting your face, there is a stairway that leads down here as well. Which one do you want to take?
I'm an adventurer, damn it. I'm gonna take the scaffolding.
Okay.
I'm climbing this the way out. I was gonna take the stairs, but that's too easy. And the rope is just a no-no.
Yeah, it's not gym class. Screw that.
As I'm climbing up the scaffolding, I'm just kind of whistling different heroic tunes. Got this. Have the gem in my hat.
Climbing the scaffold, you get to an area that has an ancient, intricately carved stone wall. I mean, you could feel it. It almost feels so uniformly made that you can't feel any imperfections in the stone, and you probably couldn't fit a piece of paper in between the seams if you wanted to. But time wears down all things, so there's actually a hole in it that you can climb through, and climbing through that leads you to a vast and echoey throne room. You come in from the side. There is a pair of statues around this throne. You can't make out the details of the face or anything. They're very well carved out of very smooth stone, and the throne that is between the two of them, based on what you can tell in the relatively low light and by touch, this thing has to be at least 10 or 15 feet tall.
Okay.
So what else do you experience in here? Anything you can hear or anything like that?
In the throne room, I see, I feel like the throne room, there's this giant, glass, what's it called? Those really special windows and stuff.
The stained glass stuff?
Yes, there's this giant stained glass window of the king that used to reside in this throne. And it's just this very serious thing looking down. And while there's no light, the ambience of it can be very clearly seen, and I'm sure when I strike my match it will just glow.
I like it. Okay, let me think of a peril for this room. Okay. As you make your way through the throne room, from behind you, you hear movements and a voice that sound much like your own, actually. And from far off in the distance, which is probably the exit, you also hear a voice that sounds much like your own, but the problem is the sounds that accompany it are the clanking of armor and the unsheathing of a sword.
Okay, I hide behind the throne and wait for them to leave.
Okay.
I, swim behind the throne and wait for them to leave, and then leave after that.
All right. So what actually ends up occurring here is the sound of the armor gets closer, and you can barely make it out before you have to blow out your match, for safety. But this person really looks a lot like you, and the voice that was coming from behind you, a person walks through wearing pretty much the same things you're wearing right now, and he looks around. The armored figure sees him, runs him through with a sword, carries the body out, and after a few minutes you don't hear any other sounds aside from the pounding of your own heartbeat in your ears.
Well, that's gotta... I don't even have a joke right now, that's just horrifying.
Let's see, you are at
7.
7 matches.
And you're at 2.
Yeah.
Still anyone's game here.
All right, so since you solved that problem, you are the match holder again.
Okay, I think this is the last time since I let... No, I still have time. Okay, so after I leave the throne room, I feel like I've kind of hit this garden area. The entire thing, I leave the throne room and this is garden area. And at the very end of the garden, I can see this, the last tower that will lead the way out and stuff like that, but I have to go through this, kind of open plains area, but it's extremely dark and it's really hard to see. And I'm kind of going through, a bunch of overgrown weeds and flowers and such.
So, yes, this place does have some overgrown plant life. You can actually, you hear the tinkling sound. It sounds like a bell coming from not so much up ahead, but off to the sides in the garden. It's a tinkle, and it sounds almost like the distant laughter of a child.
Oh dear.
So let's go at 10, I guess. Light your match, and I will figure out the problem.
Okay, at 10. Okay, I just need to make it outside.
All right. As you wander forward, away from the sounds of the bell and the laughter, it becomes harder to move. You could still breathe just fine, but movement feels almost like you're trying to walk at the bottom of like the ocean.
I you know what I do? I take off my shoes
Hmm.
and like I take one shoe at a time and just throw it forward, hop onto it, throw another one forward, hop onto it, and just kind of skip past.
Okay.
Play skip scotch with the mud. To safety.
So you make it to the exit to that area, and there's the sound of disappointment.
Sorry.
The laughter turns to a kind of a resigned grumble.
Go back to your room. Oh, you know what's really tough being the scoundrel? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, creative ways to get out of each situation. And, like, I don't want to repeat myself, so I'm trying to think, like, okay, how can I get out of this one? I can't just, like...
Yeah.
But, so... That's the tough with the scoundrel. Like, I'm just making a personal rule never to repeat myself.
Yeah. So before we go to the next area, what events in the scoundrel's life led them to seek, like, this sort of activity to make money? Like, why don't they have a respectable job?
Well, what happened was, at a very young age, Have we decided what the setting is beyond?
We haven't. You can, just
Yeah.
throw something out. That's fine.
Okay, at a very young age, he decided that he really couldn't become an adventurer. He never really kind of fit in with any kind of party and stuff like that. He constantly tried to go out and become like an adventurer, but it just never worked
Right.
out for him. And he was always kind of like this maverick of his own way, and he never really got along with anyone. And then there was this girl that he met that just completely got him. And just completely, like, he fell head over heels for her and stuff like that. And it kind of got him to thinking, like, you know, maybe I should turn my life around and really get a respectable job. And when he realized that he needs a kind of start off point so he can get that respectable job, he decided one last job, like this one legendary thing that he needs to do so he can get this last one so he can stop this dangerous adventuring once and for all and settle down.
Okay. So I guess in the movie version of this, there'd be that little flashback scene where he remembers once again why he did it and what led him down this path, as he's in a real shitty dark area.
Yeah, he remembers his first meeting with the person he loves and how that changed him. Like he always did this sort of adventuring, but like this is the one that he did for, like, I have to do this for love and stuff. Like, I have to get out of this job. This is the last one.
Yeah.
I have to settle down and make myself an honest man and stuff like that.
Okay.
Whether he does or not is up to the sequels.
To be seen, yeah. You gotta buy the rights to the third and fourth movies, guys. Alright, so, why don't you describe this next area that you come to? You're getting so close to the surface now, you can almost smell the fresh air.
Okay,
almost.
So it's right at the exterior of the last tower, which I have to go up to and get out of, and stuff like that. So it's like I see the big vaulted doors, huge thing. I remember coming out of that. In fact, you can even see like the little rope that I used to scaffold from the top window.
Mm-hmm.
That because the door wouldn't budge, so I had to go back up the stairs and scaffold down from the window from one of the windows. And afterwards I made note that the reason why I couldn't do it is there's this like, giant, I'm gonna say this fallen over statue that's blocking the door and stuff. So like I see the rope, I have to get to the rope and stuff. And it's this dark area, like it would be like a center of town. This one tower seems to lead up to it seems to be in the exact center of town.
Okay. So another thing about this little area, like you said, it was a center of town, and you're not sure if your mind is playing tricks on you. Maybe the darkness is causing hallucinations, but you're positive you can hear like the commotion of people walking about and going about their daily lives. The, just there's people arguing back and forth over prices. There's people laughing. You can hear songs coming from a distant tavern. It's really weird. And before we figure out the peril, did you say you were going in that tower?
Yeah, I have to get to the top of that tower.
Okay.
As the way out.
Gotcha.
Okay, I just need to make it outside. I'm going to do it at 40.
All right. You go into the tower, and the sounds of the city life kind of die down a little bit. All you hear is the creak of the stairs as you're going up higher and higher into the tower. And after a certain distance, they stop becoming creaks and they start becoming cracking noises. And you're not sure if you'll actually be able to make it further up without risking anything.
I grab onto one of the window seals, pull myself up, and begin to kind of get my way around on the edge of the staircase.
Okay, like a Assassin's Creed style?
Assassin's Creed style, yes.
Okay.
That's definitely in time.
Yeah. It's lucky that you do, because at a certain point your foot slips and you kick one of the boards and it cracks and goes spiraling off into the distance, and you hear it shatter when it hits the ground far below. And for a second, the only thing that fills your mind is a mental image of that happening to you, and your blood runs cold for a second.
I kind of do like a ooh.
Yee.
Ooh.
All right, so that was, I think, your third one in a row, huh?
Yep, I pass it to you. I need one more to survive. My fate is my own hands, but fate is fickle, and the wheel turns.
All right. So making it towards the top, you arrive at the top of the tower, and the end is in sight. There's a cave that you have to walk through that leads into the distance. The sunlight is streaming in a little bit here, so you can make out some details. And it's helped by the fact that there are these large quartz crystals that have never actually been mined out of here for some reason, but they seem to pick up the light and sort of refract it in all directions. So you got this cool rainbow disco cave effect going on. In the distance, shitty dubstep music plays.
Ah, the sounds of home.
Sweet dubstepopolis, I've missed ye.
I'm actually in a techno future.
You're like one of those guys who dresses up for like the Civil War reenactments, but you're reliving the adventuring life.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to add to the scene before we figure out the peril?
I feel like the crystals are kind of like manifesting themselves. I really don't see anything else. I see like it's just this long dark cave, and this is like the final. Like, oh, you know what I see? I see these carved in steps. Like not even steps. You see this carved in, like there's a chute, and it's kind of this carved in the cave, a ladder up the cave, and like you see the rainbow reflection and stuff like that going around it. But it's like this final like climb up. That's the stone ladder that's been there, like indented in the cave.
Okay. So as you let me get ready to light the thing. I'm gonna do it at 0.
Got it.
Fuck. Wow. Okay. As you climb up the ladder, one of the rainbow lights appears to be the same color as the stone, and you make it a little bit past there, and you hear a rumbling in the distance. And as you get to the top of the ladder, you see that the quartz crystals are falling out, and the entranceway is actually slowly collapsing shut.
I sprint as fast as I can. I tuck and roll underneath the collapsing entrance. My hat falls behind. I grab it. I pull it on. Do a smile toward the camera and run off.
Signature move. I like it. So you make it just in time, and as you turn around, or you know what, as you walk away, all cool looking, the rest of the cave collapses in on itself. There is a sudden rushing of dusty air out towards the way you came. You're able to put your hand on your hat and keep it on your head.
Okay.
Don't let them see you cough.
Hello. I'm good.
So, you have 10 matches now. That means you successfully made it to the surface. Describe your triumphant return to town, and remember that glory and song will remember you forever.
I return to town, and no one there seems to like pay any attention to me, because I'm just like, oh, it's him. He's doing his usual thing. Like, it's him doing his thing. But as I return to town, like, I go to like the town shop and stuff like that, like this place where they give like the quest was kind of posted, if that makes sense,
Right.
and stuff like that. And as I enter the shop, like dusty and stuff like that, I walk into the shop, hat down, and I slam the gem on the counter and stuff like that. And I kind of be like, put it on my tab, but then I'm like, well, not my tab. You see, it's the thing that you pay me with. Just give it credit. Like, you know what I mean. Walk out. Like I put it on my tab, walk out, walk back in. Well, no, not that.
Yeah.
Walk out again, and then as I walk out, I go to the home of my love, knock on the door, she opens it, and I just run her in and give her a long kiss and be like, I'm back. And she's like, where'd you go? I'm like, never mind, just...
I'm gonna have to use about half the money from this gem to pay for therapy, just FYI.
A little bit of therapy. Also, I have to write to my mom, she's down there. I did promise I'd write, so...
Nice. All right, well, you have successfully navigated the perils, and you are now known in history as the Scoundrel of the Deep.
Woohoo! Scoundrel of the Deep.
Good job, Oklahoma Steve.
Oklahoma Steve. Oklahoma Steve will be remembered in ages as the... He had like 3 movies after this. It was great.
People are kind of on the fence about the 4th one, but that's neither here nor there.
There's a 5th one coming out. No one's really sure what to think about that. And as I make out and stuff like that, the screen goes black and like, Oklahoma Steve is retired and stuff like that. And at the end of the credits, it's like another person coming to him, giving him another job, and there's just like this small smirk crosses his lips and it goes black, and Oklahoma Steve will return.
To be continued?
To be
Question
continued.
mark?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Keep good adventurer down.
Yep. Well, I think this counts as a successful microphone test, and since it's an hour long and all of our communications gear worked.
It seems so.
And thank you for joining me. So, thank you, Patrick, for joining me for the playthrough of The Scoundrel in the Deep. Hopefully you had fun. I know I did.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast to play.
I'll have to give this another try in person since, you know what? I bet you you could probably screw somebody over and like play in a windy room and try to blow their candle their match out early.
Well, actually, like one of the tricks is if you're ever playing as like the Scoundrel and you need the extra time or something like that, you light the match and you hold it sideways.
Really?
It burns longer if you hold it sideways.
Tricksy devil.
I didn't do that.
Right.
Exact
Well, we used a timer anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
This guy, I would never have lived if we used these guys. These guys only last like 12 seconds. I was so scared I was not going to be able to light the matches. I was like, I actually practiced all yesterday lighting matches.
Oh yeah, that's one of the fun things. I know we didn't get to that rule since it didn't happen to either of us, but if you try to strike it twice and are unable to light it, or if at any point your match breaks, that's basically like a critical failure for your side. So the other side gets some cool shit to happen to them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a cool little mechanic. But yeah, if anybody wants to play the game, you could look on Drive-Thru RPG. Just look for A Scoundrel in the Deep. It is in a kind of collected publication. It's called like Worlds Without Master, I believe. Yes. Worlds Without Master, Volume 1, Issue 6 from November 2014. As always, thank you for continuing to like, share, and subscribe. We live on word of mouth, and if you like, share, subscribe, and talk to us enough, maybe you'll be on an episode like Patrick was. Also, if you guys want to check us out on Patreon, throw some money our way, we would appreciate it. That's www.patreon.com/thatdndpodcast, podcast, and send any comments, critiques, any suggestions for other games to play, thatdndpodcast@gmail.com. So I'm going to stop rambling, and thanks again. Have a good day. See you next Monday. That D&D podcast is released under a Creative Commons 4.0 attribution, non-commercial, no derivative license. Feel free to share with friends, but don't cut anything out and don't sell our work. Dungeon World intro music is Back to the Woods by Jason Shaw. You can find Jason's music on the Free Music Archive, and our outro music is Dirt Roads by Kevin MacLeod. His music can also be found on the Free Music Archive. See the show notes for any music used in the individual episodes, and visit us at thatdndpodcast.com. Dungeon World is the property of Sage LaTorra and Adam Coble. All other copyrighted content is owned by their associated copyright holder.